Hello again, my lovelies. Pirate Scum Gaming here. And today I am bringing you a bit of a departure from my standard build videos. Today I am bringing you my take on a TOS era theme build for the Atlas Prototype Dreadnought. A bit of a disclaimer here before I jump into this. This is solely my idea. This is my opinion of what a build should look like for this. This is not canon, this is not meta. This is simply a fun build to do your daily endeavors, random TFOs with your friends, or if you want to solo random TFOs, that works for that as well. Also good for doing story missions. As you will see in the Wanted Patrol coming up, I set it for Elite, so this is more than capable of handling Elite content. So please keep that in mind when commenting. With that out of the way, let's jump into this. Okay, first up we have the Phaser Wide-Angle Dual Heavy Beam Bank from your Discovery reputation. It makes sense that you'd put this on a Dreadnought. It's a very powerful phaser weapon. It also looks like the phaser weapons on the TOS Enterprise, if you've watched Star Trek the original series. Sometimes they look like white pulses. So that's why we are using these. Next up, Quantum Phase Beam Array. Also, the reason we're using this is because it is a pale blue color, so it makes sense that it would work for TOS era ships since those phasers were blue. Also, I like the proc on this particular weapon. It's an experimental weapon, in my opinion. Not widely used throughout the fleet. Maybe used on some prototype stuff, and this is the prototype Dreadnought, so yeah, it does make sense. 2.5% chance drain enemy shields and give them to yourself. Yeah, that kind of makes sense for a Dreadnought. I mean, you're going to strip your opponent's shields and buff up your own, make yourself even more stronger. So yeah, that's why I kind of like this. Next up are two of the advanced phaser beam arrays. These come off the Disco Connie, either the lockbox or the legendary version. Again, these are blue phasers. They make sense. The Enterprise, the TOS era phasers were blue, so that's why we're using these. And they're just really powerful. 5% chance plus 30% crit severity with advanced phaser beam arrays for 15 seconds. So yeah, it makes sense that would be on a Dreadnought. Something very powerful weapon on a Dreadnought makes sense. Next is the Quantum Phase Torpedo. Pardon. These look like the TOS era torpedoes, but on steroids. Usually they're just kind of white little pulses. These are a little bit beefier. So yeah, it makes sense that the Dreadnought would have stronger torpedoes. Space Core has not changed. Colony Deflector. The prevailing innervated impulse engine from your competitive rep. Elite Fleet, Plasma Integrated Warp Core, and the Tilly's Review pending modified shield. This is pretty much the meta shield, so this is probably one of the few meta pieces of equipment on this build. 11.5% chance increased damage for 10 seconds on enemy shields. And for those wondering, the Quantum Phase set comes from the Sunrise mission. Aft weapons. I have the Trilithium Enhanced Phaser Turret. It does look like the ship has some kind of turret weapon above the hangar bay. I'm not sure if that's a turret weapon, weapon hardpoint, or communications antenna, but that's where this thing shoots out of. So it works kind of like a point defense weapon to ward off enemy fighters. And we also use this because it buffs firing cycle haste. Next is an omnidirectional covert phaser beam. This was gifted me by a friend. It's a red phaser beam. It was used by Section 31. And since his character is a Section 31 operative, flying a prototype ship, hey, why not put a powerful prototype Omni on there? It makes sense. Again, advanced phaser beam array, went over that. Devices, pretty standard. Your energy amplifier, reactive armor catalyst, you have temporary hit points for insta heals. Deuterium surplus to get around because this ship is a little stubborn to get going. and the Kobayashi Maru transponder for the random buffs. Universal console is, of course, the locator. Well, why wouldn't we use this? It's a massive shield pen buff. Hard to pass. And again, this was again around in the Discovery era, so it does make sense. Next up is the console, the quantum phase converter. This is from, again, the Sunrise mission. This is part of the 3-piece. A nice phaser damage buff, buffs your aux power a little bit, and it buffs your Starship drain expertise. And here is the here's the set bonuses for this. Your 2-piece doubles the potency of quantum phase weapons shield drain, doubles potency of quantum phase high yield torpedo shield heal. Now I'm not using the high yield, I'm using spread. 3-piece set, Quantum Destabilizing Beam. You're getting just shy of 1850 phaser damage per second per 10 seconds, so that's quite a bit there. To foe, minus 2.5 all power subsystems for 10 seconds, and it buffs your own. So it's a power steal. This kind of makes sense in my little headcanon that you'd put this on a Dreadnought. A powerful 3-piece weapon set like this belongs on a Dreadnought. Okay, we have the Bioneural Fusion circuits. That's pretty standard. Temporal trajectory shifter from the T6 Narendra or T6 Voral support cruisers. The reason is for its firing cycle haste. Domino, again, for firing cycle haste. Also for the buff to phaser weapon damage, 25% firing cycle haste, 25% bonus all damage, 25% recharge speed for bridge officer abilities, and 100% recharge speed for torpedo weapons. So yeah, this is just too good to pass up not to put on here. Because all that recharge speed, bonus all damage, yeah, this is Dreadnought, it's supposed to be powerful. The M6 Universal Computer. This comes from the T3 Temporal Escort, available to you for a dilithium purchase. 15% bonus all damage, 25% cooldown reduction for tactical bridge officer abilities, and 20% firing cycle haste for all weapons for 15 seconds. Plus some accuracy and defense. Next up is the Interphasic Rift Generator. This comes off of the Mirror Warship. This was a Terran Empire ship. But in my opinion, this would be on a Dreadnought. Yeah, I'm sure that the TOS era, Section 31, or Covert Ops, or the Dirty Trick Squad will have found a way to get their hands on this. And then equip it on their prototype Dreadnought build. You get 15% crit severity, 15%... Well, not 15%, 15 Starship hull capacity. That feeds into Tyler's duality. Also, to enemies, minus 11.2 all current power levels, and it causes some kinetic damage. When you see me doing the mission, you'll see a green rift open up in front of me. That's what this is. And we have the console that came with it, the Dynamic Power Redistributor, also known as God Mode. 11.3 all damage resistance rating, plus 19% directed energy damage. But that's not what we're using it for. We are using it for the 40% bonus damage while above 80% hull, plus 100 bonus damage resistance rating, plus 500% hull regen. That's what we're using it for, folks. This is one of the most powerful consoles in the game. Tactical consoles, I am using 2 locators and 2 exploiters. As you can see, my crit chance is sufficient enough for me to be able to slot these 2. And last but not least, we have the hangar bet. We have the Elite Class F shuttles. These are era-appropriate shuttles. These are like little mini Galileos. And they are they're pretty nasty little customers. They have phaser beam rays, photon torpedo launchers, emergency power to shields 3, and beam overload 2. Yeah, these guys don't mess around. Skills are all the same that I have been using. So if you need to get a screenshot of this, go ahead and do that now before we move on. Specializations, Intel Temporal as usual. Okay, for traits we have Good Day to Die, pretty standard for all tactical captains. If you're a tactical captain and you're not using this, what's wrong with you? Yeah, stop what you're doing and go get this right now. This turns Go Down Fighting into a reusable buff. Intel Agent Attaché restores captain ability recharge. I like that. This is pretty standard on all my builds. Soft modulating fire. You get plus 50% shield pen for energy weapons and torpedoes. You're going to find this on all of my energy weapon builds. Superior beam training, that's pretty self-explanatory. Terran targeting systems plus 15% crit severity. Fleet coordinator plus 2% bonus all damage per team member. Boimler effect, which is the primary means of cooldown. Adaptive offense. On critically striking, 0.9% crit chance becomes 3% crit severity for 10 seconds. Max 9% crit severity. Unconventional systems for universal console cooldowns. Using control bridge officer abilities, and I do have plenty of them. And last but not least, operative, a bit of crit chance and a bit of crit severity. Okay, Starship traits. We are using Calm Before the Storm. This gives a large boost to firing cycle haste after a short buildup. Preferential targeting to buff my beam overload. Energy weapon cycle. This is firing cycle haste, and this comes from the Cardassian Intel Flight Deck Cruiser, the NX refit. This comes off the Morgu Arbiter or Kurak. Next we have Universal Designs. 2% crit chance, 10% crit severity when activating a Universal Console. And this is kind of hard to pass up. This is probably one of the best traits in the game right now. So it makes sense that you'd use it. Next is Super Weapon Ingenuity. This is the Beam Overload Extension trait. This comes off the Atlas Dreadnought. The Zindi Atlas Dreadnought. This comes off of the Crossfield refit. And last but not least, we have Overpowered and Overgunned from the Legendary Defiant. Minus 15% weapon power cost. 12.5% weapon firing cycle haste for 10 seconds. Base reputation is also pretty standard. Magnified firepower from the Gamma reputation. Advanced targeting systems from Dyson rep. Controlled countermeasures from your Temporal rep. Tyler's duality from the Discovery reputation. And precision from the new Romulus rep. Active space rep, I used pretty much the same thing I use on pretty much everything, so nothing really to shout about here. Okay, bridge officer stations. We have torpedo spread 1 to get that quantum phase torpedo around. Cannon scatter volley to proc preferential targeting. Heisenberg amplifier and quantometric inversion field. These are uncon procs. And they're quite good uncon procs. These are, if you have a temporal seat on your ship and you're running unconventional systems, these are two excellent go-to abilities to use. The main event, Beam Overload 3. Engineering station, we have emergency powered engines to help the ship get around. Emit unstable warp bubble. This is also an unconventional systems proc. This is one of 2 engineering ones. Emergency powered weapons 3 to proc emergency weapon cycle. And this is the second and last engineering uncon proc, eject warp plasma. That's the only reason I have it on here is because it's an uncon proc. Next I have Let It Go 1, which is adds cold damage, and it also acts as a debuff. And we have Overwhelm Emitters. To ally, plus 30% of damage as shield regeneration. To foe, 30% of damage as shield drain. So this is a pretty good debuff ability. It's a good command ability. If I have an ability to slot this, I will. And for science, we have Tractor Beam 1 and Scramble Sensors 1. These are also uncon procs. Alright, let's take a look at duty officers. My Jetch is my energy weapon officer. Buffs beam overload to gain 35% shield pen. Emergency con hologram recharges evasive maneuvers when emergency power to engines is activated. Fanet, also one of my energy weapon officers. This is the another beam overload one, so I'm double stacking this. We have 23 of 47. On use of tactical abilities, 50% chance. Improve team-wide maximum hull by 10% for 30 seconds. And on use of command abilities, 30% chance to improve crit chance by 2.5%. This is popular among the support community and tankers, but I find use of it in regular builds as well. Next up is 24 of 47. On use of tactical ability, 50% chance at power levels to maximum. And the Miracle Worker part doesn't matter because I'm not running any Miracle Worker abilities. But this is what I'm using it for here, primarily. And we also have 41 of 47. On use of tactical abilities, 15% chance to reduce Temporal Operative Bridge Officer ability cooldowns by 50%, and vice versa for Temp. This is my Boimler backup. So basically, she stands behind old Boimler, and when he starts slacking off or starts thinking about other things like writing fake captain's log, she slaps him side the back of the head and tells him to pay attention. That about covers it for the build part. Let's go ahead and do a quick beauty shot analysis. Now, I really love the way this ship looks. I think it's beautifully designed. It fits for a Dreadnought since there's another TOS era Dreadnought that's a long story. Yes, I'd love to see it in the game. Yes, I think it's a cool looking ship. But, yeah, we're never going to see it in the game. So, this is what they gave us, and you know what? I absolutely love it. So, that being said, we're going to jump into that Elite Patrol. We're going to see just how well this ship performs. And again, you know, like I said at the beginning of this is just my idea, my theme build, my opinion of what a prototype Dreadnought would look like for a TOS era theme. And you'll see this ship does perform quite well in the Patrol. I encourage everyone to explore theme builds. I think they're fun. It takes your mind off other things in this game. It's good to just kind of put together a theme build and just have a whole lot of fun with it. So that being said, we're going to jump into that patrol, and then we're going to end the video. And like I always say, don't go by the book, think like a pirate, and I'll catch you next time.
human. Play, Damjat, human.